remember that this can be the hardest part. I remember the first week we talked about um, setting that intent on what we want our self-image to look like. Now, that would be equivalent. We talked last week about the airplane and how flying from California to New York, right? It can be 90% off course, 90% of the time off course, and yet reach its destination, but it still needs to have a destination. And so I know with myself, when I was first learning about the self-image, two things I did wrong. So I'm going to teach you from my mistakes, two things I did wrong. The first was think that because I realized that my false self-image was false and that it wasn't really a part of me, I thought it would automatically just kind of change. Doesn't happen that way. We have to work with our brain, with the way our brain learns. So part of that is kind of setting that intent. Well, what does it look like? Our subconscious programs always talk in the present and they always have emotion tied up with them. So knowing that is helpful. The other thing I did wrong was I looked too much at what I didn't want. I don't want to feel shame. I don't want to people please. I'm so sick of fawning. I'm so sick of social anxiety. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. But that would be like the pilot getting in the plane and being like, I don't want to go to North Carolina. I don't want to go to Texas. I don't want to go to Canada. The plane's not going to go anywhere still. There's no destination set. So when you're setting your destination, a couple of things that help with the brain, again, is the present. I see myself. You want to use your senses. What do I see myself doing? If I really believed I was worthy, what would I be doing that I'm not doing now? What would I be feeling? What would I be hearing myself say? Those three things are like the coordinates. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that be aware of cognitive dissonance. So we're very aware of our self-image and what the narcissist put in us, right? And it's like, I don't feel safe around people. And now I'm like, I feel safe. I want to feel safe. And that's my self-image. And my body's like freaking out inside, right? So being open to the fact that we might have to kind of have like a hierarchy. Like before I could say I am safe around people, we might have to kind of bridge that cognitive dissonance by thinking of like, what would I need to believe? Well, I would need to believe that I'm allowed to be me. People are allowed to not like me, and I'm still allowed to like me. And then we might have to even chunk that down to be like, I'm open to one day feeling like I can feel safe around people. So notice there's like the long distance image is in a year. I would love to see this. And we started the year with like the writing the letter to our future self, right? Clarifying in a year from now. And then we break up the cognitive dissonance. Like, well, I'm open to this month, wondering what it might feel like to feel worthy. I wonder. I'm going to let my brain just imagine. We chunk it down. And then remember that discomfort is kind of like our subconscious mind's way of showing us growth. So, for example, if I outgrow my jeans from last year, I'm going to feel uncomfortable when I have them on. I've outgrown them. Well, our beliefs can be like that. When we start living outside of them, there's some discomfort at first because it's different. And the brain is like, oh, are we safe with this? So those are just some reminders. We went through that information, but I feel like they're helpful reminders. And now here's the time where you guys get to kind of ask your questions to me, this is what the live meetings are so special about because you get to ask those questions, clarify, get that personal extra support. Hello guys, if you're new to my channel, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Michelle. I'm a survivor myself of emotional trauma. I'm also a certified trauma-informed recovery coach and a somatic experiencing practitioner, as well as the founder of the Thriver School of Transformation, which, by the way, this video is a tiny piece of this past week's live meeting. The School of Transformation is a place where we meet between 9 to 12 times each month with amazing people from all over the world that are all on their own cptsd recovery journey. We do the inner work together. So if you have been struggling to overcome emotional trauma and you feel like the videos aren't enough, I want to remind you that I leave the link to the school in the description box below, as well as in the comment section. So I want to invite you, if my videos resonate with you, to join us at our live meetings and really start deepening your healing journey. So one really good question that was asked by one member was if I was never allowed to be myself, and if I was always criticized when I was myself, and so I shape-shifted to make the other person happy, how do I know when I'm being my authentic self? Yeah. Okay, so I guess something that comes up as you ask that question, so our authentic self is always there. It always has been, but it's been buried underneath, right? All the trauma, all the coping skills, but it has also been disconnected from us because we weren't listening either. The only way for us to be connected to our authentic self is if somebody mirrored us in childhood. Now we know how to do it. I didn't know how to do it. I was an adult that did not know how to connect with myself because I had never had that done for me in childhood. So I had to reparent and learn how to do that. So we start listening. Now, our inner self, I'll throw this out there. One of the things that I learned in the process, my inner self wasn't ready to share with me in the beginning. You ever have a friend where you give really good advice to them and they never listen? And then they come back to you and they're like, Michelle, I really want your advice. And there's an inside, you're like, yeah, right. I ain't even going to bother. Our inner self is like that at first. I know mine was. I don't know if you guys can relate, but mine was very much like that. And so it's about building a relationship, starting to listen, and your body lets you know through sensation. So, for example, how do I know what I really want to do? Let's say somebody asked me a question, Michelle, do you want to go to the movies on next Tuesday? And I'm like, yes. The first thing that comes to my head is yes, because my mind says I need to maintain that relationship. I need to, make sure they're happy so that we stay connected. But my body's tensing. My true self is speaking to me. Am I going to listen? When I do listen, I feel expansion. There's my true self saying, this feels great. Thank you. So it's about learning to listen to the body, building that relationship, and then it gets stronger, just like a real friendship, right? You share with people, and then with time, you have this deep connection with that person. That's how we start feeling with our inner self. But it is not an overnight thing. It is a real relationship. That's a reality, right? I may not want to go to work in the morning, but I have to. So there are times that we have to be the adult to our body as well. Our child mind might be like, I really just want to chill and I just want to read a book. And our adult mind has to acknowledge that. Maybe even see what subconscious need is not being met so that we can do what we have to do, but then later on meet that need from the body. But your question, I'm trying to figure out, what was your question? How can we tell?
How did you know that it was your true authentic self rather than the tired piece? It could have been the tired piece that was the authentic self, right?
Yeah, that's where self-inquiry and learning ourselves. We really learn ourselves. I was tired, but I really didn't work yesterday. I didn't have a reason. It was just like maybe even an old, everyone else matters, make sure everyone else is okay piece was coming on. And my real authentic piece was like, I matter. I really want to do this. And I just I can tell when my inner self is upset with me. Like, honey, you had time. I mattered and you didn't. You let everyone else matter but me. And then I have to
Right.
like fix that rupture with myself and be like, okay, honey, listen, this is what time I have. We're gonna go, we're gonna do this. I got you. And then we rupture and repair with ourselves too. None of us have a perfect relationship with any other human being, and we certainly don't have a perfect relationship with self either. But we forgive our pieces. We show love, compassion, we grow. It's really about learning,
Yeah.
listening. You really start just like a friend. You don't know them in the beginning, but 6 months down the road, you spend a lot of time together and you really just getting to know each other. A year, 2 years down the road, you can look at them and know what they're feeling.
Mm.
So that's how we get with our inner self. We start really being able to tell which piece, oh, there's a protective piece. Oh, that's from the past. Oh, this made me think of that and that's what happened. We really start getting to know ourselves so deeply.